So it's time for the main event of a Formula 2 weekend. The feature race. The largest points of the weekend are on offer, with points allocated just like in Formula 1. And today we are here for the second race of the weekend, the main race of the weekend. And very much for the first time ever, the feature race is actually after the sprint race, which I believe I'm quite a fan of, because I believe that actually makes more sense. It's the same track we raced on at the sprint race yesterday, 15 corners, 3 DRS zones. The only real difference is, of course, the grid and the time of day, because we're going to be rolling back the years for a bit, because this race will actually be held in afternoon conditions here at the Bahrain International Circuit, of course with the main Grand Prix moving to a night race since 2014, in Formula 1 that is. It's a good opportunity for Felipe Drugovich today. He goes from third and he retired from the sprint race. He is obviously the champions-elect, so it'll be a good race for him to get his season back on track after that very unfortunate retirement. Callie Mayer impressed on her debut, but the real surprise is the trains, with Richard Bashaw on the front row and Callum Williams in the top 10. Speaking of the grid, let's go through that in full then. From the back, Ralph Bouchon and Jake Hughes make up the last row of the grid. Just 8 tenths separated Amuyu Iwasa from Ralph Bouchon, proving the equal spec nature of these cars. Tadeo Rakoda is 20th behind Marino Sato, Chiro Vips and Logan Sargent behind them. Terry Porchera is 16th, followed by Liam Lawson. Amuyu Iwasa is behind Oli Koldiel on the 7th row. Row 6, Cullen Novalak and Vedrick Vesti. Into the top 10 we go with Dennis Hager, the sprint race winner, alongside Enzo Fittipaldi. Marcus Armstrong is alongside Callum Williams. Jack Doohan goes from 6th behind the very impressive Callie Mayer. Jehan Derivola is 4th, followed by Felipe Drugovich. And at the front, of course, as we spoke earlier, Richard Bashaw is alongside Amuyu Iwasa. And of course that means Amuyu Iwasa got 2 points for the pole position. Right, and that's a different point format to last year and previous years, of course, because it was 4 points for pole position. Now it is just the 2, and of course it is just an extra point for the fastest lap, which Callie Mayer scored yesterday in a very impressive performance indeed. And it's not your traditional grid. We've got Jehan Derivola in 4th, but Dennis Hauger only made 10th, but of course he made good use of that, winning the sprint race as pretty much continued where they left off like in the previous 2 seasons, after winning with Mick Schumacher, teams and drivers in 2020, and then in 2021, of course, last season with Oscar Piastri. He is now reserve driver at Alpine, and Mick Schumacher is, of course, with the Haas team in the Formula 1 terms as they prepare for their new era in Formula 1 with brand new race cars and a brand new team, of course, with the arrival of Audi. And as we said yesterday, both cars immediately getting into the top 10 with Jackson and Hulkenberg. So Callie Mayer obviously got eyes on her brother and should be very motivated by that, and very encouraged actually by her brother's performance. They are very close, Mayer and Jackson, and she keeps tabs on him and he keeps tabs on her, and I'm sure he will be this season, because this year, if Mayer is going to be a shot for the championship, which she is kind of like the outside dark horse as it were, we all expect Felipe Drugovich to come through and win in the end. Plenty of time to make the points he lost in the sprint race due to the retirement, but if Callie does win the championship here, she will already be one better than Jackson managed in 2020, of course. But of course he came up against Mick Schumacher, who was almost impervious form, winning almost every feature race in a modified season bar 1. And of course at Silverstone, with Jackson took after falling to the back of the field on lap 1, and Kramer really trying to get Schumacher to the end on the wet tyres, and it really didn't work out. He even spun and scored no points that day, but of course he made up for it later in the season and won the championship outright. Oscar Piastri then followed in 2021, and as we said, whoever it is at the end of the Abu Dhabi sprint race will add their name to a very impressive naming list, with almost all graduates from championship positions going into Formula 1 at some point or another. In fact, everyone has. With Nick de Vries and Oscar Piastri, it's a little bit different, of course, because they are in reserve driver roles at the moment. But of course, Nick de Vries went on to be Formula E champion, and that is definitely a nice
Okay, so
spot on his CV as well.
Up now. Be patient.
So here we are on the grid then for the feature race, the main event of the Formula 2 weekend. It's a more cordial from Richard for sure, as here come the 5 red lights for the feature race today. It is lights out, and away we go, and how's the start? Cordial gets off really slowly. I think he's going to drop a few positions, I think. Jehar Daruvula there, already up to second. Will he get up down the outside of Richard for sure? He tries, but I think for sure just has it covered. Where is Cordial? He's already down to 5th, and Cali May has actually passed him up to 4th. So it's a very poor start from Maury Cordial, as he's already down to 5th place. It's for sure, and Daruvula fighting at the front. Will Daruvula take the lead here as he's side by side with Vershaw? And it would be a double Prema weekend win if he could do this, and he has done. He's already passed him. Jehar Daruvula now leads this race from Richard Vershaw. Great exit there. They're all really close together. Felipe Dragovic just holding on to 3rd. The champions elect Cali May is up to 4th. Cordial drops to 5th. Callum Williams is 6th behind Jack Doohan, so it looks like Jack Doohan's lost a place. Fittipaldi, Enzo Fittipaldi in 8th, Dennis Hauger's 9th, and Colwell is 10th. So Fittipaldi and Hauger have moved ahead of someone. I'm not really sure who, but Hauger started 10th, he's now 9th. So who did they fall ahead of? Maybe they passed Colwell, maybe he was ahead of them already, maybe he was. But the big loser, Amore Cordial, the pole man, down in 5th then. Jehar Daruvula now leads, and that's a perfect opportunity for Prema here, because they could take both races with both drivers this weekend. I think that has happened before, but I'm not really one to remember, because it was quite some time ago, I would have thought. And we had a brief yellow flag there. As you saw, the green flag came out, so I think there might have been a collision or something a bit further down. Didn't really see what was going on there. But at the end of lap 1 then, it's Jehar Daruvula from 4th who leads. And Amore Cordial, the pole man, now down in 5th. Vershaw 2nd, followed by Dragovic, Mayer 4th, Colwell 5th, Williams 6th, Doohan 7th, Fittipaldi 8th, Hauger 9th, Colwell is up to 10th. So someone has dropped. I'm guessing Fittipaldi got ahead of Hauger, I guess. But now, mind you, he was about, so it's Colwell, I guess, that's lost out, right? Down in 10th. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised by that. Amore Iwasa, very highly rated in the Red Bull Junior Academy. He's actually made his way up to 11th already. Liam Lawson, the other one who's highly rated in the Red Bull Driver Academy, now down to 17th. Vedrik Vesti has dropped down as well. He's now 15th. So there's all sorts of gains and losses here. It looks like Novalark has dropped some places as well. Paul Scher is up to 13th. So some real movements on the first lap. So here's the rest of the order outside the top 10. It's Iwasa from Marcus Armstrong. Paul Chair up to 13th. Novalark 14th ahead of Vesti. We've got Marino Sato up in 16th now. Lawson 17th. Vips 18th. Calderon's moved up a place to 19th. Boschong has moved 2 places to 20th, getting ahead of Logan Sargent and Jake Hughes, the Williams Academy driver, up there. Now he's actually lost out to Boschong, so Boschong's making a move into 20th place. Of course, Formula 2 is an equal spec nature, so we will expect some free spread to happen. But as we saw in qualifying, less than a second separated the entire grid. That proves how close this series really is. And I think, was someone going off at the back there? I think that might have been Ralph Boschong going off at the back. Someone went off. I didn't really see who it was, but it looks like someone has actually gone off at the back. We're not going to cut to it, unfortunately. I think the cameraman, the race director, well, not the race director, but the camera director hasn't really picked it up. Jehar Daruvula is the fastest man at the end of lap 2, and of course, in the feature race, there is a mandatory stop and a need to run both dry weather compound tyres in a dry race. I think the mandatory pit stop would even count in the rain, as this feature race pretty much follows Formula 1 rules. So here's Amore Cordial's start. And he suffered the same gear issues that Dragovic did at the start, and that's why he's down to 5th now. There's Cali Mayer on the inside. Does she make the move? She probably does. She does, you know. She sticks it in around the inside, and now she's going to hold it around the outside of turn 2. Great move by Cali. Great race sense there. She moves up to 4th. And I think they'll expect nothing less of Cali Mayer to kind of keep that in and keep going on and and she's not going to give no quarter, and she didn't to Cordial there, and that's where she's up to fourth. Here's the start from Daruvula. Absolutely tremendous start. Gets a great slipstream. There's Cordial falling like a stone, and it was the slipstream that Daruvula got from Vashur that helped him into second there. And because Cordial was so far behind, it fell, I think it was Dragovic out of position a little bit, but I think he made it back up later. So here's how Daruvula battled for the lead into turn 3. And it was pretty much even round turn 3, and I think Vashur was almost off the track there. And no quarter given by these young drivers. You'd expect nothing less, and that's how Daruvula takes the lead. So Kramer lead the race again, but it's Jahan Daruvula who leads this time. Here's Callie's start, and again she gets a great launch, but once again she's held up by a slower starter. In that case it would be Cordial, and she loses out because of that. So that's twice that Callie has had a good first phase of the start, but then is held up by a slower starter ahead of her. And but she can make that up. If she stays with the front 3, she can make that up, and she already made some tremendous passing moves in the sprint race, and you'd expect nothing less from her in this instance. So Jack Dewar has now fallen a little bit, I think, out of DRS from Callum Williams ahead. Looks pretty far away. The field will start getting spread out at this point. And how are we doing? So Callie's now actually lost out to Dragovic a little bit, and has fallen out of DRS. And Jack Dewar is now under pressure from Enzo Fittipaldi, who's having a pretty good weekend, to be fair. And he'll get another 3 points for finishing in 8th position at this point. We've got Callum Williams slowing down there. Did he just go off? And it looks like he might have encountered a problem because he's running off the track. He's going very slowly. I think that might be another gearbox issue for another F2 car, as it has been the case for most of this weekend. The gearbox has definitely been the most problematic thing in these cars this year, and it looks like Callum Williams is the latest casualty and is out of this race. So that changes things a little bit. Now Fittipaldi's into 7th, into Hauger 8th, Colwell 9th, and Amuyu Iwasa now on for a point, the teammate to Callie Mayer in the Dams car. So Dams on for double points at the moment. He's being pursued by Marcus Armstrong, and Teofil Chair is having a brilliant time of it in this feature race as Jahan Daruvula begins to stretch his legs out front and is now trying to get away from Richard Vashur. Of course, Des Hauger did a great job holding off pursuers in the sprint race, despite the pursuers all behind him having DRS. So that proves that the Prema is a pretty good car this weekend. So Daruvula should have almost no problem holding off Vashur and Dragovic behind. And that is certainly the case for this 6th lap, as well as we go into the 6th lap of this race. And Callie is closed in a little bit on Felipe Dragovic. She ran a bit wide there in turn 2. She's been kind of struggling a little bit with the handling of these cars. They're not that much different from Formula 3, so she should be able to adjust rather quickly, being the Formula 3 champion, of course. But she's settling in nicely. P4, she was, I think, P4 or 5 in the sprint, so she's kind of where she was again. She's been very consistent so far, but she's losing out there, as you can see. And she's struggling with the handling of that car and runs wide. She'll get no track limit violations for that. She didn't really gain anything. She ran off the track, but it's not really an advantageous position, so she won't get any strikes for that. As far as track limits is concerned. A little bit further down, Dennis Hauger and Jahan Daruvula on for double points for Prema, and this is already looking pretty rosy for them because they got double points in the sprint race as well. So as far as the team is concerned, Prema pretty much are picking up where they left off. And here's Amuyu Iwasa in the 2nd Dams car, of course, in Formula 2. If you're part of a driver academy, then the driver academy you race for will be on the car, which is why Amuyu Iwasa and Liam Lawson's Dams and Carlin cars respectively look like Red Bull cars, because they are part of the Red Bull Driver Academy. So Dams have 2 totally different cars, because Callie Mayer is not really affiliated with anyone as far as the Driver Academy is concerned. She has been, I think, monitored by, I think, McLaren, actually. And maybe Audi as well. Being Aiden Jackson's sister would certainly be a reason for that if that was the case. But she's not. She's definitely she's definitely more than the family tree. She is almost the exact kind of traits, as it were, and she's proving why. She's not here just to make up the numbers as a Jackson family tree member. She's actually one of the real deal, and of course she proved that in Formula 3 last season, absolutely trailblazing through 2021 with pretty much winning the majority of races over the course of the year. Of course, there is more races in Formula 3. I believe there's 3. And there's also 3 drivers per team as well. For Jehan Derivale, he knows what it's like to be in that category. He was obviously promoted here a few years back. And now he's leading this race for Prema, followed by Vashur and Dragovic, all in close company behind him. Kali, I think, is getting ever closer to Dragovic, actually. I think she's been a little bit faster than Dragovic over the last couple of laps, so it looks like she's trying to make up some ground. She doesn't have DRS at the moment, but I don't... yes, she did, actually. So, Kali Meyer has got within the DRS of Dragovic now. And as we approach the pit window opening in a lap or so's time, I think the pit lane is already open, of course. After 2 or 4 laps, depending on the race, the pit lane opens for the mandatory stops. You're not supposed to pit until lap 4 at the absolute earliest. But a lot of these drivers holding on lap 7 on the soft tyres. Everyone was actually starting on the soft tyres for this race. And is Calimere going into the pits? No. So down the straight. And now Calimere is about to join the battle for the lead, I think, because the DRS is certainly going to help her out. She's right there now. There she is. She's actually got onto the rear wing of Dragovic now, so she's right in the fight for this win then, because Derivale and Vashur are directly ahead. So now she's in the fight for this. If she can get a good pit stop and a good pit in and out that phase, who knows where she might end up. But she's right on the tail of the leaders then in P4. Cordial sadly has lost out. I think he might have DRS behind her, but I'm not entirely sure of that. But the first 4 is trying to get away now. So it's Derivale still from Vashur and Dragovic, top 3. Meyer 4th, followed by Cordial, Doohan, Fittipaldi, Hauger, Cornwell and Iwasa. That's the top 10. Now with the point scorers for this race. Jehan Derivale currently holds the point for the fastest lap. As Kali locked up a little bit there. She's pushing hard, trying to stay with the leaders here. And so Cordial is losing out quite a bit. He didn't have DRS down that straight, so he'll lose a little bit more time to those in front of him. Oh, with Kali sliding a little bit there. She's really pushing hard. And of course, the tyres will start to wear as well. So I'm pretty sure we'll be near the opening pit stops. Jehan Derivale continues to lead, doing a great job of holding off for sure. And second behind him. The Prema cars definitely are pretty decent at holding off DRS-assisted pursuers. And Vashur's coming in, Dragovic is coming in, and Meyer's coming in. And here we go then. This will be a battle with the pit crews most likely. Doohan's in as well, I think. As all the pit crews now come out to service the drivers that are coming in. Of course, it is best not to double stack in Formula 2 because pit stops take even longer. And the Dams team are done, and Kali gets out. I think she beat Dragovic there. Great move by the Dams team, and she's got ahead of Vashur as well. So great pit stop from the Dams team has got Kali Meyer in a net second place when the pit stops are completed, provided she can keep it on the island, of course. There's a whole line of cars behind Jack Doohan here. Hauger, Cornwell, Armstrong, Fittipaldi, Vesti, Lawson and Jake Hughes, I think. And if there was a car off at the back, it was one of the white cars of either Fittipaldi or, well, not Fittipaldi, but I think it might have been Boschon, but now he's showing his P10. So maybe that was just a bit of a flash we saw there, maybe with someone going off. But Dams, the big winners in that pit stop phase. The pit crew got Kali Meyer in front of Vashur and Dragovic then. So that's interesting. And if Kali can make up enough time, She could be battling for the win here. A great stop by the Downs team. It was absolutely perfect. She definitely beat Dragovic out of the pits. But of course, all those people piling into the pits means, of course, you can't have an unsafe release. So that probably factored in as well. So in comes race leader Jehan Deruvala. He's going to be followed by Cordial, Porsche, Novalak, Sato, Vips, Calderon, Sargent and Boschol, who all have to pit behind him. And normally Prema are pretty decent at their pit stops. Was that a bit of a slow on the front right there from Deruvala? Let's see how much that costs him, if anything. Should get back ahead of Cordial, who's at the end of the pit lane there. And still getting his tyres changed. Unfortunately, he's not going to get out in front of Deruvala, so that is going to be as you were. So there's Callie Mayer in the background on the right. Keep an eye on her because she's going to make a whole bunch of places now. Is she going to be in there for the lead, though? No. Deruvala is going to get out in front of her, but she should just about beat Cordial out of the pits, and she did. There's side by side between Vachur and Cordial loses out, but he has made one place ahead of Dragovic. But let's see if Dragovic can actually make that up, because of course he'll have DRS and Cordial might have DRS off for sure. But Callie Mayer is now second after great pit work from the Dams crew. Can she battle for the lead then? We're all on the hard tyres. There's going to be no fastest laps now, just to make to the end of the race would be the objective now. Callie is looking pretty close to Deruvala, as we've got about 6 laps left in this feature race. We could have a battle of the lead here, and it could involve Callie Mayer of all people. Well, she knows how to win. She did plenty of that in Formula 3 last year. No DRS this time around for her, though. I think there's no DRS for sure either. So she's pretty safe from behind for now. And let's see where everyone filtered out then. So out of the pit stops, Deruvala will still lead, but now Callie Mayer is second, ahead of Vachur, Cordial and Dragovic, after Callie Mayer's Dams crew put her out in front of Vachur and Dragovic in the pit stops. Jack Dewitt is now 6th, ahead of Dennis Hauger. Amuyu Iwasa has also won a lot of places. He's now up to 8th, in front of Ollie Caldwell, and Teo Pourchaire has actually made his way up to 10th. So Pourchaire is having an absolutely brilliant race in the ART car. And he's very highly rated, Teo Pourchaire. He's part of the Sauber Driver Academy. Well, technically it's the Alfa Romeo Academy at the moment, but Sauber could making a return as a name to the sport after the end of the Alfa Romeo deal concludes in 2023. Small rumours that, of course, well, there were rumours initially that Audi were going to take over from Sauber in 2026, but that's most likely not happening now because they're already here after the arrival in January and signing on, of course, Aiden Jackson and Nico Hulkenberg, who start on the top 10 on the grid for the Formula 1 race tonight. So I wonder what's going to happen in that instance then, now that Audi are already here. Will they still take over operations from Sauber and just bring a lot of their members over, which would make sense? Will we lose Sauber from the grid entirely for that reason? That would be very unfortunate. Sauber, such a long stay of the 90s, and brought through legends such as Kimi Räikkönen and other great legendary names such as Philippe Massa and others. There's a stay behind Harold Frentzen as well. Many past and present F1 drivers have come through the Sauber ranks. Mika Salo got a drive there thanks to his links with Ferrari in the year 2000 after he subbed in for Michael Schumacher in 1999 and did a pretty stellar job. Of course, he finished on the podium in Germany that year. Second to Eddie Irvine, of course. But Sauber, such a great name. And brought through some great drivers and nurtured them. It'd be sad to lose them. Either way, really. If Audi take it over from them, or maybe we'll just lose them entirely with no real person to bring them in. Of course, they could find another opportunity from somewhere else, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. We're still waiting for... There's still kind of thing maybe Andretti could come in to Formula 1. And there's a right battle going on here for 8th. Caldwell was actually beating Iwasa. I think Iwasa has taken a bit out of his tyres because he's struggling now. Teo Pourchaire down the inside, and he's having a stunning race so far, Teo Pourchaire. He's down to 9th. He started, I believe it was 14th or 16th on the grid. He's now up to 9th place and chasing Ollie Caldwell in the Campos car. Dennis Hauger right on the tail, Jack Doohan. And no changes at the front. Still Jehan Deruva leading from Cali Mayer. So, with this whole thing between Audi and Sauber and what has changed in Formula 1 since then, does Teo Pourchaire now get on Audi's radar, perhaps? Maybe. Audi don't have any development drivers at the moment. They've really just arrived a couple of months ago. But they're already looking at maybe some of these drivers, perhaps. Cali Mayer seems the most obvious choice, of course, with the family ties to their driver, Aiden Jackson. Maybe Teo Pourchaire, maybe that could be an avenue for him as well. And he's certainly proving why he's being looked at and so highly rated at the moment, because he's having a stunning race up in 9th place. Unfortunately for Amuyu Iwasa, I think it's about to get a bit worse. And he's about to fall out of the points, because Marcus Armstrong is right on him down the outside. No DRS from Armstrong here. It'd be a great move, but unfortunately no. Ran out of space, but if he gets a good exit and DRS down the straight, he might overtake him here. Well, it's a shame for Iwasa. He's been so highly rated within the Red Bull Junior Academy so far. Unfortunately, he's about to sink a bit out of the points. As down the inside goes Marcus Armstrong. He should have the better exit from turn 2. Perhaps Iwasa's going to hold it in around the outside, but it's not going to be enough, sadly, for him. Will he retaliate, though, with DRS down the inside? No, he won't. He's looking, but I don't think he's close enough, no. So, I think Iwasa has burnt out his tyres a bit, because he's really struggling right now, unfortunately. So, I think the last questions to be answered in this race, and we've got 4 to go, is can Pourchaire make it back up to 8th? And we've got another battle here. It's Doohan and Dennis Hauger for 6th. That's going on. There's Ollie Caldwell. Teo Pourchaire has caught right up to Ollie Caldwell already. Pourchaire has really got some pace in this later phase of the race. Looks like his car really likes the hard tyres, because he's absolutely flying at this moment. Well, meanwhile, at the front, looks like Jehan Deruva has pegged Cali Mayer now. So it looks like being a straight run to the end for the Prema driver, who came over from, I believe it was Khalid. He's just switched to Prema, and now they field 2 Red Bull Juniors. We've got 4 in the field. We've got Deruva, we've got obviously Dennis Hauger, Amuyu Iwasa, and Liam Lawson. Yuri Vips was part of that academy, but was dropped, I think, last year for comments he made outside the sport or something like that. So that was a bit of a black mark on his career. And today he's sitting down in 17th in the high-tech car, not really making any inroads on his former compatriot in the Red Bull Academy, Liam Lawson, in 16th there. Well, Cordial has definitely done well to hold on to the leaders, but he lost it at the start, didn't he? Going down to 4th, although he has got ahead of Dragovic, so Cordial has actually made up a place in P4 there, so he's actually pegged Dragovic. That's really well done by Cordial, to be fair. And the Van Amersfoort crew, obviously Van Amersfoort coming in this season. And obviously Cordial getting their first points on the board in qualifying with the pole position. Fortunately for JQs, he's down in 19th. Well, Teo Pourchaire is actually having a brilliant time of it at the moment, and now he's right on the tail of Ollie Caldwell for 8th. What a great race by Teo Pourchaire. Another one who's probably one of the possible championship contenders this year. He's definitely made up for his grid position in this race. Meanwhile, at the front, and J.R. Derivla on the penultimate lap has it all under control. There's not much Callie Mayer can do now, but she's still going to become the first female podium finisher in Formula 2, very much following on from last year. A totally different Callie Mayer, of course. Callie Mayer continues to be a trailblazer in the world of motorsport as far as the female driver side is concerned. Of course, we've got F1 Academy coming in next year. It's taking over from the W Series, but Callie might not even need to be part of that at the moment because she's doing a fantastic job. And of course, she's got ties to obviously the world outside of Formula 1 with her konnersport athlete affiliation. And who knows what will happen with konnersport in the future. We all know Andrea O'Connor's dream is Formula 1. So having Callie pretty much on the brink of it at this point will definitely increase his chances of fulfilling his dream. That's Andrea O'Connor, that is. And he's on Callie's, his brand is on Callie's helmet. They were tennis brands around the 2008 to early 2010s. And then he entered the konnersport entered the Grid World Series, competing with the great Raven West outfit, which is significant because Raven West have a stake personnel-wise in the pit crew of Audi's Ford F1. So konnersport is on the brink of it, and Raven West is already there. And Callie has reeled in Derivla somewhat, but we're on the final lap. It's not going to be much, unfortunately. But she's really pushed hard in this race. And her pit crew did a fantastic job of getting her out in second place. But it looks like it's going to be the same old at the very front. Prema winning this race as Novaluk has passed Marino Sato. And Cheo Porcher did pass Ollie Caldwell, so he's now up to 8th. He's had a great time of it. Unfortunately for Amuyu Iwasa, no points today. Tatiana Colron is doing well in 17th, trying to pass Yuri Vips there. As the time, the position board continues to kind of flit up and down, but Colron's done pretty well to get to 17th. But like we said in the sprint race, she's probably going to be in the shadow of Callie Mayer for a lot of the time. Unfortunately for her, but Callie is just that talented, and she's proven why today. She's going to be the first female podium finisher in Formula 2, right up there in second place, and that was really mostly due to her pit crew doing a fantastic job in the Dams pits to get her out ahead of Fashaw and Dragovic, who she was in close proximity with at the time. J.R. Deruvla has pegged her though, and is now entering the final corner. It's going to be a double weekend win for Prema. It was Dennis Hauger in the sprint race. It's J.R. Deruvla in the feature race. It's Prema at the top. Again, J.R. Deruvla wins from Callie Mayer, and Richard Bashaw has finished third as Trident continues to be a bit of a dark horse to the team's championship. Unfortunately for Callie Williams, he retired. Cordial is fourth, followed by Dragovic. Jet doing is ahead of Dennis Hauger. Tail Porcher, driver of the day, or at least an honourable mention for a fantastic race up there in 8th. But J.R. Deruvla did very well to peg his dresseurs behind him, very much like his teammate did in the sprint yesterday, and wins this race. But a very honourable mention to Tail Porcher indeed, after where he started. And that's not the correct order. We're going to have to wait for the game to show the feature race positions. There we go. So Ollie Caldwell was 9th and Marcus Armstrong was 10th. That was the final positions there. It was outside the points after pretty much cooking his tyres. Enzo Fittipaldi there in 12th. What happened to him? He lost a few places probably in the pit phase. J.R. Deruvla gets the fastest lap point to date, and he finished the second ahead of Mayer in second. Frederick Vesti dropped a place as well. He started 11th. So, Teo Porcher was 16th. What a great effort by Teo Porcher. Probably driver of the day, kind of mentioned for me, actually. Teo Porcher, a great race. And Ollie Caldwell also getting the points from where he started. And everyone moves about up and down, maybe one place from where they started, apart from Callum Williams, who started 7th but doesn't even finish the race, sadly. He became the only retirement. So Jehan Deruvala, of all people, now leads the drivers' standings. I believe it's the first time ever for him. But Kali Meyer is right in shooting distance. I think it's 8 points. Cordial is 3rd, followed by Dennis Hauger for sure. Dragovic, the championship favourite, down in 6th. And of course, everyone from Iwasa down scores no points, but it's very early days in Formula 2 this season. Kramer take a 24-point lead ahead of Dams in the team standings. Trident, as we said, the real outside dark horses this year, up in 3rd, ahead of the debuting Van Amersfoort Racing. Decent weekend for them, starting their Formula 2 lives in 4th place. It's Jehan Deruvala, it's Kramer again. Kramer continue to dominate this series for the most part. They have done so for the last 2 years. Looks like they might be doing it again. Jehan Deruvala ends the weekend as the driver's leader. Very much a surprise, but Kali Meyer is right there. Is she in with a shout of winning what her brother couldn't? It's a long road to the final race, but there's only one way to find out. We'll be back when Formula 2 returns.